Hey guys, welcome back to the Foolish Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Monday rolled around and just, working and all of a sudden checking my email at the end of the day and like, whoa, Michigan had some transfers today. The transfer portal window is open April 14th through April 30th, and Michigan had been pretty quiet. I mean, there was no transfers last week when it opened up, but today was different. Let's start off the top here. Michigan loses wide receiver slash kick returner A.J. Henning. This is probably one that I don't know what to think really about this as being the most significant of the three transfers today. I guess he was second team All Big Ten returner last year. What was I going to say yesterday? Last year. And so obviously he had experience with that, but you still, he was okay. He always seemed to have the person who had potential, but it just didn't seem like he really found a niche for Michigan. Like he had 3 carries for 9 yards last year. I think it was number 8 or 9th in receptions and number 10 in yards on the team. So it's like Michigan didn't really utilize his athleticism. So again, there's only one football. And you got Michigan, which is a running team, run first. And then you got, buried in there down the depth chart as wide receivers. So it's like if you really want to if your goal is to show what you can do, just being a kick returner is not going to get you to the NFL. I don't know if he has the talent to do it, but that's what he's going for, right? If he wants to be a more prominent player, you got to leave Michigan because Michigan's pretty loaded. You got to go. There's obviously some talk about how Tyler Morris was going to fill in for his spot. So it is what it is. And that seems to be, the mark of Michigan, at least the theme today is like Michigan's got depth, and, if you're not necessarily going to be a starter, it's like you're a senior, like Henning, I believe, was a senior, and I think our next guy, R.J. Moten, was a senior. It's like, you got to move on if you want to, crack the starting rotation, go to a different school. We know the NFL finds talent everywhere. So, all the way down to, like, D2 schools and such. So it's like, if you show what you can do, they will scout you, and they will, find those gems in the rough. So, speaking about that, right, so wide receiver moves on, which, not surprised. Secondly, to move on, is R.J. Moten. He had been supplanted by Rod Moore and Makari Page, so he was not lined up to be a starter in the safety position. And, there's a lot of young guys coming in after the 2021 season, I think it was, where Michigan beat Ohio State the first time with a back-to-backs here. Michigan got a stupendous haul, like 6 DB/safety potential players. And so now it's like those guys are getting experience and they're ready to try to take a bite out of playing time. I really think it might be Zeke Berry, even Keon Saab, or Dent. You got lots of guys that can fill in that spot. So again, it's not surprising overall because you look at it and you stuck around through spring game and now you kind of see the pecking order, right? You kind of get the idea. Players aren't dumb. They see they're not going to be the starter. They see where they are in this, pecking order. And like, you know what? They're going to move on to where they can be the starter or get a better chance to play. So, no doubt, best wishes to A.J. Henning and, of course, R.J. Moten. They played some great games. Definitely I'll remember, the first touchdown against Ohio State in 2021. Henning did the reverse off the Statue of Liberty play. And, of course, R.J. Moten had a couple picks. He made some good defensive plays. He seemed like the one who was like either going to be a breakout play, but then he would like kind of drop them. But, that is what it is. Then that's why you're the DB/safety. You're not out there for your super hands, right? That's why you're playing defensive back/safety. One thing, I'm just saying it's like maybe, Moten saw the writing on the wall. He led the team last year with 10 missed tackles. So it's like, it's like let those younger guys get some playing time, wet their teeth, right? Get them sharpened, get them action. So, again, I'm not surprised. A.J. Henning seemed like he never could find a niche. R.J. Moten had been passed up. He wasn't going to be a starter, and younger guys were coming, so that's kind of how it goes, and I'm not surprised at all. The last transfer I want to talk about is in the basketball court, and that'd be Greg Glenn III. And true freshman last year, some speculated he came along just kind of be a Jet Howard buddy system, like, Jet Howard's coming, so get Greg Glenn in there. The idea was 2 to 3 years down the road, he would maybe be a contributor, decent defense, not a great shot. Had to work on that stuff. But he only played 4 games. I think he played a total of 11 minutes, and he's going out the door. It just brings, again, a couple questions. No, nothing with Greg Glenn. I mean, you're a freshman. You didn't get there. It's like, were the coaches telling you you're not going to be getting much action next year, or is it? So it'd be interesting. There's just questions, and I don't have the answers for. I mean, is it a cultural thing that's with Hunter gone, not Isaiah Barnes. But there was one other guy, and now Greg Glenn. So 3 guys transfer out. You had 2 guys going pro, so 5 players leaving. Jet and Kobe obviously going pro, and it's like, man, is this? My brother and I were talking. It's like, is this a reflection of the culture at Michigan? Like, people just leaving 5 players last year. Players left too. And it didn't stick around, which maybe would have helped Caleb Houston and Musa Diabate in their draft stock, Then there's the other layers, too, of, like, NIL and such, and how the NCAA, those guys being European-born or Canada-born, they couldn't get NIL money, so going pro made sense for them versus getting no money in, college. But just going back to this year, is this saying something about Juwan Howard that people are wanting to leave? I think it's just more, I'm not in there, right? I'm not in there. I'm not like, oh man, hanging out, Howard's lost the locker room. I can't say anything like that. It just screams to me more that this is the modern college basketball. That if you're not going to be the starter, if you're not willing to wait, fine, transfer, and that's completely fine. They have the 1 transfer window, right? So, I mean, as looking at Michigan now, obviously they want to get that power forward from Tennessee. Still kind of waiting. Hunter Dickinson's kind of the domino, right? That power forward doesn't want to come in unless Hunter leaves. And so, I know Hunter went on Kansas. He went on Kentucky OV. So I think it's like he's got to make a decision at some point. He's still not making a decision. It's making a backlog for all these other people. But I think it's just... It's like, if you're not going to get minutes to start right away, it's like the guys are just like, I'm out of here. And there's only 13 scholarships, I think it is. Only 13 scholarships. So it's like, are you willing to wait your turn? I mean, Doug McDaniel and Terrace Reed, they're sticking around, but they played significant minutes last year, right? Who else is going to leave, right? So that opens up 2 scholarships. Now I believe Michigan has 2 open scholarships, and that's not even counting the one if Llewellyn does come back. If Hunter's gone and now Greg Glenn III gone, I think, if my numbers are correct. So, I mean, as a sports fan, a Michigan basketball fan, I like the idea of being the grow a player, see him develop, and take advantage of it. But maybe that's just not going to be what college basketball is. Maybe it's going to be, you know what? You hang out there for a year or 2, and then if you don't like it, you leave. And what does that do? It gives Michigan or other schools a chance to go off and recruit a Caleb Love, Jackson, right? Guys with experience who can come in and maybe make a difference versus a freshman who played 4 games, Greg Glenn III, 11 minutes. He took up a scholarship, right, and he's out. It's like, maybe it's better to just go portal route, where you can go in and you get guys who will have at least 1 year of experience. If you're going portal, they at least have 1 year versus going, 2 freshmen who played 4 games. It was like a non-factor completely. I'm not saying apples to apples, but if you get Caleb Love for Greg Glenn III's scholarship, I think that's a win. That's a positive, right? A net positive. So, I don't know how basketball's going to go, man. It seems all about the parity. It seems all about just replacing a young guy who wants to bail with a veteran guy and kind of re-rack. Let's roll this back. Let's try again, but I'm going to go on this team and see how it goes versus build a program up. Just saying, you need those. I still think you want to have those 2-3 pillar guys, like a Doug, a Terrace Reed. If we could get one freshman, sophomore guy who could be a glue type guy, a shooter guy, who's not good enough to go pro, who's not going to leave and go to the portal. You got to hold on to these guys. And that's the juggling act of college basketball now. How can you hold on to these young guys? So, just my thoughts. Not surprising, Michigan basketball loses another player to the portal. Gives an opportunity for Michigan to add a win-now player. Greg Glenn was not probably going to be much of a factor this coming year. And like, Juwan Howard needs to win. He needs to win. I mean, 1 year of not making the tournament, okay. 2 years? I don't know. So he's in a win-now mode to me. And I think that's what most coaches have to be now, is win now. I mean, you want to win every year, right? So win now, right? It builds up a security blanket for you. Again, football, I'm sure that's not going to be the last. Transfers out. Lots of depth at Michigan. I wouldn't be surprised to see some O-line guys transferring out either. When they see the depth chart, and then Michigan added 3 offensive linemen in the transfer portal. So it's like, okay, Well, hey, those are just my foolish thoughts. If you have any thoughts of your own, please put them in the box below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. Thanks for watching, guys, and until I see you guys next time, as always, go blue.